Broadcasting live. It's America's longest running talk show on computers. It's Computer America, bringing you the biggest names in technology with guest interviews, new products, and your emails. Listen live at ComputerAmerica.com on any device around the world. Email the show at live@ComputerAmerica.com or find us on social media. Be sure to check out our website for contests, giveaways, show notes, live video stream, podcasts, and more. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello and welcome into the Computer America Show. We are the nation's longest running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers and technology. Thank you for joining us. I'm your host, Ben Crossman, and everyone out there, thank you so much for tuning in. If you're listening to us on the radio, on the podcast, on the video portion, whichever way you get Computer America in your life, hey, we thank you so much for that. And hey, we have a great show planned for you where today we have a regular correspondent. It's the one, the only, Miss Sandy Berger. She, of course, writes and operates Compu-KISS.com, and if you want to find that, of course, COMPUKISS.com, or a link at ComputerAmerica.com in the show notes. We will certainly have that there, and we will be talking everything about the new Windows 10 updates and what's going on with maybe some of the browsers, the latest version of Windows 10, and if we have time, we're going to move on to, of course, digital assistants and what they are able to do, because that's an ever-changing landscape. Now, of course, right before we get to her, a couple of things, including ComputerAmerica.com, as I mentioned before, a link to our guest show notes, including articles and things like that. You can also find the video portion, you can find the archives, you can find the video archives, you can find the podcast, or wherever podcasts are heard, simply search Computer America and we should pop right up. Now, with all that being said, everyone, let's, I think that's just about it. Everyone, again, I hope you're having a great day, and hopefully spring is treating you right, and we can go ahead and get started with today's show. So, as I said before, Sandy Berger, regular correspondent, she's been with us for a number of years now. I think it's been quite a while, and we definitely appreciate her opinion because she writes all about technology, consumer features, and she gives us her straight opinion. She is beholden to no one, and if she doesn't like something, hey, she will most certainly tell you about that. So everyone, welcome onto the show once again, Sandy Berger. Sandy, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Ben. It's wonderful to be here again.
Yeah, I'm happy to have you. So, hey, been a couple of weeks. Hopefully, you're in North Carolina with me. So I was about to say the Midwest is still getting snow, but it's a gorgeous day today. So
it is. It's a beautiful day. I'm in Pinehurst, North Carolina, and it couldn't be prettier.
Right, so let's spend it inside talking on computers. Now, with that being said, before we get started, why don't we go ahead and let you introduce yourself and Compu-KISS.com if anyone out there would like to check that out. Just hey, what interests or what brings you on the show today?
Well, I came on the show today because I've got something to say. The thing is, I always have something to say. I've been a tech journalist for years and years, and I specialize in reviewing products and looking at things from a viewpoint of what everyone needs to know. So that's why the Compu-KISS website came about, for keeping it short and simple, which is what I try to do, explain it to people. I get a lot of older users on the website, but I get a lot of 20, 30, and 40-somethings who are looking for information either for themselves or for their parents. So it's a very popular website, and Compu-KISS.com. I welcome you all to come and take a look.
There you go. Thank you. And hey, I couldn't agree more. Again, we'll have a link to that in the show notes. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and start with our first topic, and that has to do with Windows 10. Give us some background on this. You mentioned something about trouble with formatting and things like that. Is everything okay with your computer?
No, everything's fine with my computer. I had a little difficulty with the website today, but other than that, I've solved that problem and everything is fine. The one thing about my computer and the other 800 million people out there who are using Windows 10, that's quite a big number. That shocked me when I read it. But Windows 10 has become extremely popular. However, one thing that Microsoft does a great job on updating it. And when they update it, they give us new features. what Microsoft doesn't do a good job of is telling us about those new features. So while people just keep using Windows 10, especially if they're using it on a computer, they use it every day, they use the same things they did before, they get aggravated when they see something's changed or it's in a different spot. But they seldom take the time to learn about all the new features that are in there.
Yeah,
and that's what I wanted to talk about today.
No, for sure. I mean, this is something that when Windows 10 first came out, we beat it. Well, let's see. The phrase is beat it like a dead horse or a rented donkey or whatever. But yeah, we really pounded the pavement and said that I don't know. I feel like hitting things, but we really said that you should go through the settings of Windows 10 when a couple of years ago when it first came out, and turn things off, turn things on, really see what the settings are. But day to day, I run into friends, family, colleagues, just random people who have never been through the settings and never really explored an operating system, because I'm sure that you've seen it when you help people, Sandy. As long as their favorite web browser opens, they really don't care what's happening on the operating system.
That's absolutely right. And even those people who, when Windows 10 came out, went into the settings and searched around and looked for things, if you compare Windows 10 the way it is today with the way it was when it first came out, there's absolutely no comparison. Oh. The settings are entirely different, and the features are entirely different. Of course, it can do all the things it could do before, but there's lots of new features in there.
So it's probably worth going through and taking a second look. I remember like over the years they've quote unquote simplified things, they've tucked things away, turned things on and off. But yeah, so obviously this you're talking about the Windows 10 Spring 2019 update version 1809. I did not remember that written in your article that you have here. And yeah, so if you would like, let's just kind of pick apart your article and go feature by feature.
Okay. Before we start that, I want to say that this update can take a long time, especially if you have a slower computer. And I've had people complain to me about how bad the update was, how long it took, and things like that. But what they found is after they read about my article about all the new features and new things they could do with it, they felt it was well worthwhile, and I feel it's well worthwhile as well.
So, and just real quick, I'm looking through, let's see, this ZDNet, and just looking through a couple of different places. This was first released, I think it says March 25th, or because currently it's like almost middle of April. I've been putting off an update for quite a while, and I don't think I've actually updated to this one yet, because I'm one of those people that whenever the update icon appears, I just say, ignore, sleep, go away, snooze. I should probably update to this. So this will be enlightening.
I think you should, and we'll give you some reasons right here.
Sure. Let's go for it.
Okay. The first thing, the thing that I really love in Windows 10 in this new version is that you can now take dictation. So it can now take dictation is what I should say. Mm-hmm. So basically, you go into Word or any other app or program that allows you to type things in, and all you have to do is press, it's the Windows key and H. When you press those, it turns on the dictation feature, and basically you start to talk. And you'll see up at the top of the screen, it'll say dictation enabled or something like that. And it'll type whatever you tell it to. In other words, as you talk the words, it will type those words into Word or into whatever feature you're using. I don't believe that on the dictation feature you have to enable anything. However, if it is not working, go into the settings and it will be under accessibility. And other than that, it works just like some of the older dictation programs did. So there's a list of features in Microsoft. You can go to their website and search for it, and it'll tell you what to exactly say. If you want a comma, you want a space, you tell it to go to the next line, it'll go to the next line. It's pretty feature-filled.
Yeah, that's to be able to format your document as you well, as you speak it, to go, to page break or go to the next paragraph. Very different than just talking like you and I would. But I just looked it up. Google has had this feature since like 2016. Do you think this is Microsoft kind of playing catch up? Because obviously, I'm sure that Microsoft has worked with the likes of Dragon. Voice dictation is the one that immediately pops into my head. But there's been so many other options for voice dictation, third-party software, that I felt like Microsoft never felt the need for this, and other companies were filling in that need.
Well, that's true in many cases. This just makes it that much easier. If
I
someone's
like it, for
used
sure.
to using Word for writing things,
Yeah.
and suddenly they broke their hand or they've gotten older and can't type, this makes it real easy, keeps the same format, everything the same that they're used to. You just press the Windows key and H, and you get going, and then you tell it to stop dictation anytime you want and to start again. So it works very well. And yes, are they just catching up? In some cases, yes. And that's what keeps us going in this
Right.
high-tech world. As one company catches up with another, maybe they surpass that one, and the end user is the one who really, really is the winner.
Right. Well, I'm not saying that's a bad thing at all. I'm just saying that there
Ah,
have been so many other programs that cater to the Windows audience for dictation that I don't think people would really expect. And more to the point of your article that you wrote, they wouldn't expect it from Windows. So to see that they finally implemented it, certainly a good thing. And sorry to kind of make you repeat yourself, but you mentioned here that it's probably most useful for something like Word. But would this work for, I don't know, just about any input where you would use a keyboard? You could use your voice, like maybe for an
yes.
address bar or something.
Yes, I think it's on a trial basis, so you just go ahead and try it. But everything that I have tried, it has worked for us. So um, it's just a cool new feature that they didn't have to do. As you said, there's other people doing it. They didn't have to include this, and yet having it makes Windows stronger and better.
Yeah, and by the way, the usability features, just for people like you said, with disabilities or something of that nature, definitely, again, not saying this is a bad thing, definitely a good thing. So very interesting. I didn't see it coming, and this is, and you say this is only available if you've updated to the latest Windows update. So it
That's
wasn't
right.
anywhere in here before.
Right.
Okay. All right. So perfect. That's easy. This next one, I have to admit, Windows 10 works pretty good for searching. In my experience, as I kind of work through my system, I've had to turn off things like search the internet for answers because when I search for a photo, I'm not looking for a photo on the internet. There are billions of those. I'm searching for a photo on my computer, and the searching's been pretty good, but it's been hit or miss. And so you have one here, easier searching. What is this?
Well, it's basically the search bar in Windows 10. And if you search when you're using this newest version, it's a different search that pops up. Search answer, I should say, that'll pop up, or search screen that will pop up. And basically, they've increased the size of it so they could put more things on there. But in other words, it will give you things like, say you search for a Word document, it'll give you the recent documents right there on the screen. It'll kind of try to guess what you're searching for. And in my testing, it's been very good at doing that. Like you said, the Windows 10 search box has always been adequate or maybe better than adequate.
Yeah,
This just improves it a little bit more. Makes it
definitely.
easier to find what you're searching for.
Yeah, and that's I'm glad that they improved it. I'm glad that they didn't really double down on Cortana. As we mentioned at the beginning of the show, we should be transitioning later in the program to talking about the new features of the likes of Alexa and Google Assistant and things like that. Microsoft hasn't been too pushy about Cortana, even though I think you can still get it on there and you can still do things with Cortana. It's not like they're saying it. let's put it this way. Microsoft lately, as well as the update that said that you don't have, or you're not being forced to update to the latest version of Windows 10. Microsoft has gone back on a few things that they said when Windows 10 was first released that really shows that they're actually listening to at least the consumer base to some extent. So
I think that's true. They are listening. That you're also right in that they are not pushing Cortana, even though Cortana is still there. They realize that the voice assistant from Amazon and from Google have surpassed them. Now, I think that they're still working on Cortana, but they're not pushing it in your face if you don't want it. You can absolutely do everything without it. And that is a nice feature. That you mentioned that you don't have to do the automatic updates anymore. They've also made it easier to take an update away. In other words, to go back. If the update has screwed up your computer, you can go into the settings and remove that update, which they never had before. It used to be a nightmare if something went wrong with an update. So I think they are, in many respects, becoming more consumer-oriented.
Which you definitely want to hear, and they give a lot more leeway to their business contract partners. But no, even though Microsoft was, really, they were never at risk for losing their dominance in the computing space. But hey, at least you have to make people happy, and it really seems like they're trying to do that. So easier searching, that was the last one that we just did. Like I said, just turn something that was good or great into something a little bit better. So perfect. Right. Next one. Yeah, go ahead.
Making text bigger. This is for a lot of people. There's different ways you can make text bigger. You can press on the control button and use the scroll wheel on your mouse to make it bigger or smaller. But now they offer a way to do that in the settings that's easy. It also used to be a little complicated to do it in the settings. So you just go to Settings, Ease of Access, Display, and there's a slider that lets you adjust the text to the size that you like. It also gives you a sample of the text so you can judge the size before you click Apply. But just click on Apply. If you don't like it, you can go back and redo this as many times as you want until you get it just right. And I think for a lot of people who might have to sit or want to sit farther, closer to the computer screen, just a little thing like adjusting the size of the text can make a big difference in their computing abilities.
I've always used the same feature with holding down the control and using the scroll wheel. Not a lot of people know about that, or at least the people who should know about it don't know about it. And some mice, and I'm not sure which kind of mice you have. Some mice. I don't know.
Not meese. No, there's no such word.
Some computer mice, they have a scroll wheel that just kind of goes smoothly instead of clicking. And if you're using one of those pieces of peripheral or whatever, if you hold down control and do that, it's almost unusable, like that feature. So just a little workaround. Again, ease of use seems to be the name of the game with this update, and definitely a good thing. So
right, and if you have struggled with setting the size of the text, and you've never tried that control and putting the scroll wheel up and down, it works on most mice. And that alone can be something that is a little tip that's good for everyone to use.
For sure. Yeah, I give that one out as much as I can. So that one's great. And now this is a feature I use a lot, and I mess up a lot. I'm hoping it has the features that I'm thinking of, but it might not. Let's go ahead and get into it. Clipboard on steroids, because I use Control-C and Control-V as like a productivity shortcut hundreds of times a day. It's crazy. So I'm interested.
Okay, well, you just go to Settings, System, and then Clipboard. Turn on they call Clipboard History, and that will keep a list of the last few things that you put into the clipboard. So, in other words, you don't have to just press something, copy it, and then paste it immediately. You can copy something else, and then go to this clipboard history, and you can paste in whatever you want. It also gives you the ability to say there's an address or the name of a company that you use over and over again.
Hmm.
Gives you the ability to put that in the clipboard and use it as often as you like.
I really, and that's exactly what I was hoping for. So many times I've had to like copy and paste something, and then I needed one other different copy and paste, and it turns a 2-step process into like an 8-step process going back and forth. So something like that, I just looked it up. I again did not update. So if you have the non-updated version of Windows, and if you go into the search bar and look up clipboard, yeah, you'll get apps to download. You'll get things like that. But yeah, nice to see that they made it. I guess they made it integrated into the latest version of Windows.
Right. They built it right into Windows, and not only that, but you can also pin the things that you copied or cut. So you can pin it and use it anytime you want. It's actually, I think it's a very useful thing for productivity.
Yeah,
no doubt about it.
Yeah, and one thing here that you wrote about was syncing across devices. That's something that I've taken for granted with Google Chrome, and going between my computer to my smartphone to my laptop, and being able to go back and forth on the browser and just having everything kind of sync up across all those devices. It's nice to see that Windows is going to allow you to do the same thing with this clipboard. So that's it's as good as bookmarks, I guess. But system.
Not only that, but I'm going to give you one more thing, Ben, that I don't have in this article.
Sure.
Which is something I thought I would write about separately.
Sure.
Is that you can now link your phone to Windows.
I did that. I actually did that. Not very because I was hoping that it would be something akin to like I would get a virtual image of my phone up on my desktop, and I'd be able to interact with my applications, and I'd be able to text people and things like that with my phone. It was not that. It was something, and I think I still have it connected, but. Did you ever really understand the point of that?
They have improved that quite a bit since the version that you're using.
Okay.
And
what's
so
that
basically, you just go to the settings, and there's a place there that says phone. You put in your phone number and you link it, and then you can send web pages back and forth, and you can put things from one screen to another. It's, again, very useful.
Yeah, that's not bad. I mean, again, I was hoping it was going to be something more akin to being able to access my phone fully through my Windows machine. It's not that functionality yet, and I still don't think it is, but it's still, like you said, in the vein of productivity. So it's definitely an improvement. I still have it connected. I'm glad. I just hope to see they grow it some more, make it more.
And I think they have grown it some, and they might grow it more than that in the future. One thing about that feature of using the phone is it does take a little learning to figure out how things are working. And that's why I thought, this really requires a whole article to explain to people how to do it.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that article for sure. You should definitely write that. And and like when I first saw the option to link your phone, I said to myself, not really out loud because I was by myself, but I was like, finally, Microsoft or computer manufacturers understand that most people, 90% of people, have a computer and a smartphone. It's there's a lot of overlap. I'm glad that they're finally making strides to make the two work together seamlessly. Like, even if they were just on the same Wi-Fi network and allowing them to communicate more fully with one another, like I said, I hope to see more features, but it's starting to move that way. That it's not, the onus isn't on the individual to make these things work together. It's now the company. It's now Microsoft or Google or someone who's making these things work together, which is good.
It's very good. And the fact of the matter is, as you said, nobody is vying for the computer type end of the market other than Microsoft. Mm-hmm. So Microsoft has that. And they don't really need to keep improving these things as they have. They could just leave it the way it is and go and do something else that makes them money. But they are still improving Windows 10. And the most beautiful part about this is that there's no cost to the end user. all these new features are just something you get when you update.
Absolutely. And by the way, I just had to go look, see where the market share was to see if Microsoft indeed still had, I guess, dominance. And although this includes, let's just check out the desktop because that included Android, and that's crazy. So wow, Windows is actually down from their high of like 90s, but yeah, they're up to like 80%.
Right.
Who's this? Mac is up to like 14%. Linux, a strong 1% showing. They're just so dominant, but at the same time, you're right. They're not sitting still, which is definitely good. So clipboard on steroids, I definitely like that. I might just update exclusively for that feature alone. Thank you for bringing it to our attention. Next one, and capture what you see. And this actually might be something that I made note of with Skype before the show.
Very interesting. Do you use the snipping tool on your version of Windows?
The snip, and this is for photos and things like quick photo editing, I think, right?
No, it's for taking things off the desktop and taking a snippet of it. So you can take a whole screen, or you can just snip a part of the text or a picture or anything that you see on the screen. You can snip.
I'm old school. I take a screenshot where print screen, and I put it into Paint, and I cut out what I want with Paint. Are you telling me there's an easier way to do that?
Oh yeah, there's an easier way to do it, and that has been part of Windows for quite a while.
Okay.
If you just type in snipping tool, you will see a thing pop up on the screen, and you can go ahead and take a snip of anything, and you can print it. You say new snip there. Snipping tool, you go to new, make a new snip, and it will allow you to print it, save it, do whatever you want with it. Yeah.
Well, check that out. Very, very
it's
cool.
actually very cool. You don't know how many customers I've had that I tell about this, and they come back and say, wow, that snipping tool is great. I'm sorry I didn't know about it before. I
am probably one of them. Hey,
okay.
That's
good.
Yeah, it's very, very full featured. I'm again, like even someone like myself who I have dug into the settings and tried to familiarize myself with the features. If I don't catch it and I spend my entire day around this kind of stuff, articles like yours really do serve an important purpose. So interesting.
Well, now let's talk about the snipping tool. It right now still remains in Windows, and like I said, it's been there for at least a year or maybe longer. But now Windows is upgrading it. I think eventually they're going to do away with the snipping tool, or the snipping tool has become something called Windows 10 Snip and Sketch tool. And that is something like, have you used the drawing that you can do in Microsoft Edge?
Yeah. Where you're supposed to like mark up like articles and things like that, right? It's like a markup thing.
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's kind of like a markup feature for like web pages and stuff like that, so you can make notes or highlight things and share them, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And now the snip and sketch is like the snipping tool with annotations. So you can, where the snipping tool basically you could only do certain things with, but now you can actually annotate that. There's a program called Snagit that I have used for years and years, and I still use it because it's a fabulous program. But now a lot of what is in Snagit you can do with this snip and sketch tool. And it's, again, no added cost to Windows 10, so it's really interesting. So you can start a mini version of the snip and sketch tool by pressing Windows plus Shift plus S. And that's how to get started on it. Now, it's very full-featured, so you can do a lot of things with it. And once you play with it, and I could see that you're already playing with it.
Well, and admittedly, again, I'm on the version previous to this. If I'd known that this was going to happen, I would have totally updated before today's show, and we would have done our thing. But Sandy, I do have to be honest with you. I think we're about to run into the commercial here in about 20 seconds. Everyone, when we come back, we're going to continue on with this, and I'm actually very interested about the stopping unwanted audio because that comes up actually live on the show quite often. It's pretty annoying. So everyone, we'll be right back. More Sandy Berger, more Computer America, right after this. Stay tuned.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
800-215-4461. 800-215-4461. 800-215-4461. That's 800-215-4461.
We are all Brother Wolf. 10 years ago, a group of locals banded together to create positive change. We took animals into our homes, held adoption events at local retailers, and talked to the community about our mission to help build a no-kill Asheville. A decade later, we have achieved so many victories for animals in need. There's been so much progress, yet there's still so much to do. As part of our year-long celebration, we encourage you to become a member of our special Compassionate Circle program. With a monthly donation of $10 or more, you will have behind-the-scenes access to the work we are doing at Brother Wolf. Our goal is to reach 1,000 members because we receive no government funding. Working together, we can help build and sustain no-kill communities. Learn more at compassionatecircle.bwar.org. We are a 501c3 tax-deductible organization.
And welcome back to the Computer America Show. It is 32 minutes past the hour as we continue on here. And everyone, hey, thank you for continuing on with us. We are, of course, talking to none other than Sandy Berger. We have been, going over this article that she wrote. If you wanted to check the article out for yourself, because hey, we are, we're hitting them and talking in depth about them, but we know that you probably won't remember. So check it out, Compu-KISS.com, or a link to it at ComputerAmerica.com. We'll be sure to put that up after the show. So Sandy, thank you for continuing on with us. And right before the break, I had to stop you, but we were, talking about the snip and sketch and, how that was a new feature found an improved feature found in the latest update of Windows. And now this next one, you may have heard it actually during the commercials. I was doing some, I was actually looking up an article on the new Chromium-based Edge browser that just came out as well. We might actually mention that a little bit later, but you may have heard it. And maybe this next point in your article may answer that, but it has to do with the fact that sometimes autoplay videos or, or autoplay ads or pop-ups, they're even worse, and they just blare over your speakers and you really don't have any control over it until you can, kind of act on it. It's a nuisance, and I'm hoping Windows has a solution, or I should say Microsoft has a solution for this.
It does have the solution, at least a solution. Now, I am the kind of computer user who keeps tabs open. I might have 8-10 tabs open at one time, and suddenly the sound will start to go, and I don't know where the audio is coming from because one of those tabs has some audio that has auto-started.
Very common.
Now, what Microsoft has added to the Edge browser is something that the Chrome browser has had for quite a while. So I think you're using Chrome, Ben, are you not?
I am using Chrome indeed, yes.
Okay. In the Chrome browser, it's very much the same as what they put into Edge browser. So, yes, Microsoft is just keeping up with the competition. But this is something that's so useful. I just can't believe that 2 or 3 years ago we had to put up with that. So basically what you do is you hear this audio from someplace, you look at the tabs, and any tab that has an audio going will have a little microphone icon on it. Right click on that icon and say mute this tab, and it will stop. You won't be able to hear it anymore.
So Chrome was changed a little bit differently. Instead of by tab, and I actually prefer the way Chrome does it if that's the way that Edge does it. Instead of by tab, you can actually mute the entire website. So anytime you go to that parent site, so if you like navigate to a different page and obviously, or you open up another tab from that website will still be muted. So I don't know if there's an option for that.
I believe that it's tab by tab, but it could be wrong on that. I just know that having it at all is a great feature.
Well, and here's my turn to give a little tip that a lot of people don't know about. If you're using the Chrome browser, and I can actually look it up and throw it up on the screen for anyone out there watching, but it's the flag for clickable mute button for tabs. And it should pop up right here. So you know how it has that little speaker in the tab? If you, it's hidden in the settings, and actually I found it right here. We'll put it up on the screen, and hey, control scroll wheel. And right here, if you type this address, Chrome, what is that symbol? Colon, there we go. Wow. Hey, I remembered. Chrome //flags / enable tab audio muting, all with hyphens. If you put that into your browser, then, or at least your Chrome browser, that little speaker on the tab actually becomes a mute switch, and you can actually click on the speaker and it will mute the tab altogether. You don't have to right click or anything like that. Turns it from like a left click from a right click into a left click.
Oh, that's a good tip. A lot of people can follow that and do it. The way I explained it is just a lot easier for the average person.
Oh, for sure. This is something like advanced users and power users, and again Chrome users,
right?
Not exactly for Windows, which we were talking about the 1903 update. So there you go. You're right. The
1809.
The 1809. Wow. I'm reading something else. So the 1809.
You're in a different year there.
I know. It's crazy. So, the 1809 unwanted audio, like I said, that has been a lifesaver for me personally, and I'm glad that you like it too, and I'm glad that Microsoft has kind of adapted to that standard as well. So that's not a bad thing. And the last one, check the update. What is this?
This just tells people how to go ahead and check the update if they try something that I've talked about in this article and it's not working. Just choose the gear icon on the Windows key, the Windows key on the keyboard, and under settings, you can see update.
Yep, right at the bottom. Yeah, absolutely.
Update and security. And from there, you can check and see which number you're on, or if there's an update available, you can go ahead and install it.
And I'm sorry for everyone out there watching the video portion. I just need to make sure there's no personal information here. We should be okay. There's no serial codes or anything like that. Restart required. Check that out. I have, it definitely wants me to update. So,
okay.
I got to do that.
One other thing. I don't think this is totally related to Windows 10.
Sure.
But Microsoft has announced that you no longer have to tap on something to say remove when you have a USB drive in. Do you remember that? You used to have to, to remove a USB drive properly. They always said you had to go into this little square and you had to press this button that said safely remove hardware.
You had to eject the USB device, right?
That's right. You don't have to do that anymore. Yay!
Yeah, I mean, I even thinking like a decade or so back, I didn't know anyone who did. Like, I did because I was paranoid, and I was one of those kids that was like, I don't want to lose my PowerPoint presentation for class, so I'm going to eject it safely. But yeah, I think most people got into the habit of just yanking it out.
I think they did too, although I personally always ejected it because they said you should. In any case, you don't want to pull it out when it's copying something, or if it's working, you've just started copying something to it or from it. Right. Please don't pull it out then. But otherwise, you're A-OK according to Microsoft. You have their ability now to go ahead and quickly remove it.
Yeah, that's definitely something that, like you were saying, updates, and this is something that I think people were doing anyways, and Microsoft has adapted to the way their users, kind of work. So I definitely like that. And on top of that, let's see, before we move on to our next topic, as I was kind of mentioned before, I don't know if you had a chance to check out, if we could just talk real quick about the fact that the Edge browser, which never really caught on as a mainstream browser, it was always either Chrome or Firefox, or let's face it, Internet Explorer, I think, had a little bit more of a market share than Safari, but Edge never really took the full-blown place of Internet Explorer. Chrome really took that over. But they're switching. At least the back end of Edge is now Chromium-based. So everything that you know and love about Chrome is now essentially the same thing as Edge. It's just a different a different front end. So did you have any hands-on with this? Did you get a chance to check it out?
I have not had hands-on with it. I have heard about it, read about it. The Chromium that you're talking about, which it is based on, is fabulous. And I have been a Chrome user for years now. Mm-hmm. And I use Edge occasionally. Edge has some features that I really like the markup feature and read later and stuff like that.
Yeah. So
I think that this is the one thing that could make me switch browsers.
It's definitely good. Don't switch yet. And even Microsoft admits this. It's kind of I don't even want to say open beta, because it's a full-blown browser. And I remember reading one article that said that they turned off like 50 different processes that Chrome would use, the Google Chrome browser that everyone uses. Mm-hmm. They turned off like 50 different features and, background processes and things like that to make it lighter weight. So it runs faster. So it's guaranteed faster than Chrome, but at the same time, there are like no consumer features that people expect, and that's because it's kind of an open beta where people can go back and say, this is right, this is wrong, and then they're going to add to it. So it's not ready for the consumer base, but you can see it's the first step to a whole new browser.
Right, and I think it's going to be an excellent new browser because of the way it's based on Chromium and the way they're putting it together.
Yeah.
But as you say, it's in the testing stages, so I don't plan on switching yet. But I think in the future I might be tempted to do that.
Oh, for sure. And really, for me, the only thing, and something that I've really been enjoying, kind of in the same vein as the article that you wrote here, checking out add-ons and plugins, or whatever the heck they're called, in Chrome or Firefox, checking out productivity add-ons for Chrome has been really, really fun lately, and just, productive. So that's the thing that that's the thing that prevented me from switching to Edge, was that the third-party, add-ons, plugins, software that you would have with a modern browser, never available in Internet Explorer. And on top of that, it was they never really opened the marketplace for Edge. So I'm hoping when they finally release it, because it's Chromium based, anything that I enjoy on Chrome, I can use on Edge, and I'd be right there with you. I'd probably switch over myself.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for, and I think that from looking at it, that's the way they're going. So I use Chrome because I have a lot of add-ons that I use all the time, whether it's something in a web page to match the colors or whatever the add-on is. And Edge has just gotten the basic add-ons available now.
Oh, well,
I mean,
and I'm sorry for interrupting you, but an add-on to change the colors. What was that one?
Oh, you can. I can't remember the name of the extension, but
That's
there's
okay.
an extension so that you can match colors. If you see a color on somebody's website that you like, and you want to know exactly what color that is because you want to reuse it in something, it will tell you what color it is.
Oh, yeah, no. So it's kind of like the eyedropper tool for a lot
Exactly.
of yeah,
Exactly.
very cool.
And yeah, there's all sorts of extensions for Chrome, and that's what's kept a lot of heavy users in Chrome using it because of the extensions.
And if nothing else, the only extension that I really find mandatory for nothing else is just a good ad blocker. Ad blockers are a touchy subject, but at the same time, if you browse the internet for security reasons or for usability reasons, an ad blocker is a must. And if you feel like supporting someone, i.e. Compu-KISS, feel free to turn off your ad blocker and kind of do things that way, such as this. Bam, there you go. But yeah, it's the fact that there was no ad blocker supported with the Edge browser just made it, kind of not that attractive to me. So I'm glad that they're changing it up.
So again, this is another example of, wow, they're really moving forward. Microsoft is moving forward, and they have to because other companies are doing the same thing. Right. One company that's just come out with a new version, which again, like Windows 10, is free, is Roku. Do you use Roku, Ben?
We have an Apple TV. We had a Roku 3, but it broke and we never replaced it. But I'm familiar. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's interesting because my situation is the opposite. I have a Fire TV and a Roku, and Apple, I had them all, and Apple is the only one that broke. So odd, whatever you want to say. But Roku is getting bigger and bigger. They are actually, the Roku channel is offering a lot of freebie things, and their new update is kind of based on that. So they're doing that. But along with the idea that they want you to watch the Roku channel, they have some other things with this new version. It's 9.1, I believe. And you know how most of the time you're looking for something on Roku or on Netflix or whatever, and they're divided by categories, by genres, like comedy, action, whatever.
Right.
One thing that this new one has that I was really impressed with is they also have something where you could search for content that's free, that's subscription-based, that's on-demand, or that's 4K. And I really I get very aggravated when I go through everything on Netflix or Amazon or somebody like that, and then I find what I want and I find out it's not free. Well, I'm already paying for Netflix and Amazon and all this other stuff. So I'm sometimes just want to search through the freebies. Yeah. Sometimes I just want to search through 4K, and Roku is offering that.
Netflix was the worst with that years ago, where anything you searched, it was like, yes, it's available. Pay $7 and we'll ship it to your house on a DVD. And it's like, no, that's not what I wanted. They've gotten better, but yeah, you're right. Roku, same thing. I have one other thing that Roku put in. Sure. Actually, they've been playing with this. It's been available on certain devices for a while. But now I understand that by sometime this summer, it's going to be available on most devices and on Roku TVs, which they call automatic volume control. So when you're watching a program, you can... I'm sorry to interrupt you real quick. Is it volume control or volume leveling? Because I just Googled it and I got... volume leveling. Leveling, okay. You're right. Yeah. And when you do volume leveling, what it does is it prevents, or it makes all the volume at the same level, meaning the commercials can't be louder. You know how aggravating it is when you're watching TV and suddenly a commercial comes on and almost blasts you out of your chair? Well, Roku is taking care of that. And I think that that's a great feature that
I can't understand why they can't have that in TVs, actually.
Well, so this is something that kind of gets into the advertising part of of the whole sector, because obviously,
right.
We've been working with the radio. Craig's been doing this for 20 some odd years. I've been doing it for almost half a decade now. It's actually a tactic. Like, they do it on purpose. If you're sitting there thinking, why can they never get the volume levels right? Why do they have to play police sirens, on the radio? They're all tactics to make you sit up and take notice, because if everything's the same level, you're not as likely to say, oh, here comes that loud commercial. It's just another commercial. So they do it on purpose is the point. But I'm glad that Roku can, compensate for that, because it's kind of a cheap trick,
Exactly. And it's aggravating. It's aggravating as hell. So I'm glad they did that. They have another function in this volume leveling that they call, which is night leveling, or the volume mode is turned to night. Mm-hmm. And that increases the volume of softer sounds. Like if somebody whispers, they make that a little louder. Decreases the volume of explosions and very loud sounds. And that's supposed to be made to actually, if you're in a room where you're sleeping and somebody else is watching TV, I could see where that would be very useful. I don't know exactly how well that works, or if it helps you if you have hearing disabilities. So if you have a slight hearing disability and the softer sounds are softer, does that mean that the voices are going to be softer? It really depends how they implement that, and I have not actually tried it yet.
And again, this is just from my background and what I've played around with audio. It sounds like they have some kind of gain where they're going to increase the low volumes, and then they have some kind of condenser that's going to software wise condense the audio. So essentially, you'll have your bottom is going to come up and the top volume is going to come down, and it's going to be more of a kind of straightforward. So like, you won't get that full cinematic experience of like, let's say you're watching the latest Marvel movie, and like A Quiet Conversation is going to have about the same volume as the climactic ending. But like you said, it's if someone's sleeping, it's courteous, so it's there. So
it could be useful, and it's something you can turn on and off, so you don't have to have it on all the time if you don't want it on all the time, that sort of thing.
Right, or just do what Craig does and turn the bass all the way up 3 a.m. and listen to the explosion movie and just shake the house. It's crazy.
What does he watch? Tora?
I don't know. I swear to God, like there's like horses dying, and then there's explosions, and then someone has like party. I don't know. It's crazy. His TV is crazy. So, but hey, that aside, those are all the features of, well, actually now we've kind of moved on to Roku. You had, and these are, the updates for the Roku, the Google Assistant, and the Alexa. We only have about like 5 more minutes left. So let's hit the Google Assistant and then the Alexa, give them like 3 minutes each. And we should be good.
Okay.
So,
well, again, the fabulous thing about both Google Assistant and the Echo are that they're constantly updated, and you don't have to pay any more for it. I have the original Echo device that came out in 2015, and it is still just as good and has all the features as a brand new one that you buy today. And I think that is fabulous, that they're giving us this stuff without making us pay for them or buy a new device, because it used to be kind of built-in obsolescence, where you had to buy a new device every 2 years or a new computer every 3 years or whatever.
Apple was, and sorry for jumping in here, but Apple was notorious for that, where, like Siri was only available on like the iPhone 5S or later. And if you had like a 4G, then you couldn't do it. So yeah, luckily that's not the case anymore. Or as well.
Right. And one of the things that Google Assistant can now do is speak in 26 different languages and translate those languages. So it kind of can become, especially the ones with the screen on them, can become somewhat of a translator or help you learn a new language, because they show you the words on the screen and then they pronounce it in the other language so that you learn pronunciation and also recognize the words, which I think is really good.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just thinking that I've been trying to learn German for about 3 years now. It's going great. I think I can ask for a glass of water, maybe. But it's there's a program or there's a service online called Duolingo, very, very good for learning languages. It's just the problem I found was no one I know speaks German, so I didn't have anyone to kind of practice my pronunciation wordplay on. So I'm glad that people are taking an interest in that as opposed to the opposite, which is why bother learn any other language because technology is just going to translate it for us. No, they're actually helping people learn other languages as well. So
yeah,
please,
which
continue.
is really, really nice. Yeah. The one thing that I've picked out that I wanted to talk about the Amazon Echo and what she has learned how to do. And my Echo is sitting right here, so instead of using her real name, I'll call her Lexi.
Sure.
All right. So what Lexi can now do is medical information, which is, as you know, there are HIPAA standards which give you the security of your medical information, and there's a big blanket of things that you have to work through because of these HIPAA laws. So I was absolutely amazed to find out that Lexi can now make appointments with your doctor. She can access discharge instructions. She can check the status of a prescription, all sorts of things like that. So it's called Health and Wellness in the Alexa app. Oh, I said her name. She didn't hear me. Good. And the way that Amazon is kind of getting around the HIPAA laws is they have coordinated with or purchased, I'm not sure, but there's a company called Livongo, and all of your medical information can go into those servers because it is HIPAA compliant. So in other words, and none of your medical information ever goes into Alexa or Amazon. So, they can go ahead and do this. Now, this could be something really interesting in the future. And I know Amazon is trying to get into the medical field. They just purchased an online pharmacy called PillPack. And
drugs directly to your home, yeah.
Yeah, and they can now be able to get your medical records, and you can just talk to her. So, if you have a problem with say you have a problem with your A1C, you should be able at some point in the very near future be able to ask Lexi, what was my A1C yesterday? What is it today? And, compare things and actually use the voice assistant for help with your medical devices and medicines and everything else.
That would be very interesting if you are, if you're kind of curious, but you don't actually want to, maybe if you take your blood pressure or your blood sugar levels and you say, well, I don't have one near me. Maybe if you say something like, Alexa, what was my blood sugar on Tuesday? And it would be able to kind of ramble that off to you immediately. I can definitely see the value in that. And obviously, as long as the data is being handled appropriately, I really don't have a problem with Amazon, kind of adding these features or other companies adding these features for Amazon. Very, very, very interesting. And by the way, just as an aside, I had to Google it. I wish there was a way that you could say, Alexa, go to sleep for 1 hour, and it would set like a timer and mute the microphone for like an hour. And then it would unmute itself after an hour. There's no way to do that, but Amazon, if you're listening, I would like a voice command to turn off the microphone for a set amount of time. That'd be convenient.
That would be convenient. I think that they are listening to what we're saying. Because they actually have made some changes that I have suggested. And so maybe you suggested a change, and maybe they'll go ahead and do that as well. Very, very interesting to see how this medical record thing works out with the Amazon Echo.
To be fair, I did make friends with a couple people and obviously Amazon employs something like 25,000 people or something ridiculous.
Right.
I did make friends with some of the higher ups at Amazon when I went out to CES a couple of years ago. So, hey, there's a very good chance that Amazon, you could be listening. And if that's the case, then please, just a timed mute voice command would be great. But otherwise, this whole medical thing, and I'm looking forward to, due to family matters, I've had to deal more and more with medication. It's not an easy thing, especially with insurance and the like. I'm glad that, that someone's looking at this and going, we can make this simpler. So, Sandy, there's music playing in the background. If people want to find out more, where can they go, and what should they do?
Just come visit me at www.Compu-KISS.com, and I'll be glad to have you as a visitor.
There you go. And everyone, we'll have a link to that. And, of course, both articles in the show notes. Everyone, thank you so much. Sandy, thank you so much for coming on. Great show today. And we'll catch you next month.
Okay. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye. And everyone, there she goes. If you want to check out more, ComputerAmerica.com, full show notes and everything. Everyone, until next time, have a great day. Bye-bye.